Cool. And then this is all natural, like your darker color?
Yeah, whatever's dark is my natural.
So what I'm thinking is you kind of have like a little bit of a harsh kind of grow out here.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is to just kind of soften it up around your face. We'll keep it super rooty so when it grows out it's natural and blended and you don't have any sort of line. This is the Redken up to 7 and I'm just using 20 volume developer. I'm going to mix it and put some Olaplex in it just to keep her hair healthy and to prevent any breakage. I'm just going to start in the back and like add some brightness towards the ends. I like to make sure that the pieces underneath that pull forward, like I said before, are nice and bright. Okay, softly tease the hair and then I'm gonna start in the middle and work from the bottom up. So I like to make sure that I have a lot of brightness at the ends and like full saturation so we have nice even color, and then I kind of paint upwards. And in the back and underneath I like to paint in like V's or W's, so depending on what side of the head I'm on, I'll make one side kind of like higher or lower. I'm gonna like softly bricklay it.
Yeah.
Just so we keep a nice amount of depth in the interior of her hair. Most of the time I feel like I can achieve the same look that they want with foils, and it allows me to lift higher and get the desired tone that they want. Sometimes I feel like open air painting doesn't allow me to lift light enough. So as I go, I'm just kind of like tipping out some of the ends. I don't really ever do the same thing. Everybody's head is different, everybody's hair is different, where it falls, how it lays. So I really just, wherever the hair is falling, that's where I'm gonna paint it. People always think more, and sometimes more isn't better, especially when you want to see brightness. The more highlights you add, sometimes the less bright it feels. So for the most part, I only use 20 volume. I feel like it's not necessary to use a higher volume. I feel like it's like low and slow instead of putting like 30 or 40 volume where it kind of gets light and then it just plateaus. With 20 volume, it's just like a slow and steady incline on the brightness. And I feel like that way I can kind of watch it a little bit more and, you know, keep the hair's integrity. And then when I get to the top, I always like to kind of like have it be parted where you naturally part it. And pull the hair back to see like where it splits in the back, to see where, you know, I want the top lighter bits to be. Do you feel like your hair kind of splits somewhere in the back, or it's pretty?
I mean, if I fall asleep, you know, it'll just like split in the back. Yeah. Totally. No, I always wear my hair in the middle. I mean, rare, like how your hair is parted too. Like sometimes I'll switch it over on the side, but.
Or hand painted.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, that's balayage. I'm like, actually,
yeah.
I teased and foiled it, and you would never know.
Exactly, yeah. Let me do my job.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, balayage is just a technique. It's not a final result, and that's the part I feel like people get confused with.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just a fancy word, and people just get so like sucked into the ooh, balayage.
Balayage?
Balayage? So like right around the face, I always go much finer, and I go higher or hairline, just so that when we gloss it after, we still have like subtle brightness, a little higher around your face. And for the second one on the top, I like to keep it like almost connected to the first, so I make sure that I'm painting up, down on a diagonal to keep the brightness towards the part. And I'm painting up. Highlights that I'm doing that are more on like the interior of the hair, I always do them lower again, so we can kind of keep that depth so that the lighter pieces pop and look brighter. Yeah. This is just like a low light, and I'm just gonna use it to kind of like blur out some of the more like harsh lines that were here. Nothing's like super harsh, but just to kind of like blur out. Oh, it's in the bowl. So I'm using Redken Shades EQ, and I am using 7N and 6NB with a little bit of like a splash of 9NA, just to kind of keep it neutral and like a little beigey. And this doesn't need to go everywhere, it's just to kind of... Alright, so I'm gonna let you hang out for another like 10 to 15 minutes, and then I'll take a peek in the back. And then we're gonna rinse the back first, and then the front will have probably 10 to 15 minutes after. I'm not actually going on the root, I'm just starting from wherever the top of the highlight starts, so I see some like lightness in here, so I'm just gonna kind of take it and do like a little mid smudge kind of deal. Same here, I have some lightness here, so I'm just kind of like blending that down a little bit. And you want to make sure that the hair is pretty towel dried before you're doing this, because the water will also dilute the gloss. So now we're using, I did 10N, 9N, 9NB, and some 9V. So it's gonna be nice and beigey, not too cool.
Yeah.
Because I feel like everybody's always like, I want ashy, I want ashy.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they don't realize that that's not necessarily right. They're like, I want it bright, I want it ashy. I'm like, well, you can't have both.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let this sit for about 7 minutes, and then we'll take a peek at it, and we'll either rinse it or let it sit for another like 3 to 4. This is looking so good. They call it keratin in a can. Anti-frizz, anti-static, it's 450 heat protection. It's just awesome. Yeah.
I love it.
It looks so pretty!
I love it. I love it.
So we still got that nice depth under here, but just the ends are a little bit brighter. Super soft at the top. It's still like brighter around your face, but it's just like melted and so pretty. Perfect. We're gonna give you super beachy waves.
Or all over?
No, in the back, yeah, I'll kind of like reverse direction, but I always, I like twist and pull out. And I'll kind of like do it like a couple of different ways as I'm going through. So like sometimes, like obviously some I'll leave for longer.
Yeah.
Some I'll pull out like with a straighter end.
Yeah.
Because people always forget that they have all this product on the top of their hair.
I know.
And they, are wondering why their hair is not staying or it's being weighed down. A little more because more is always more.